Let's talk about the Department of Education. For a brief history, the first version of it started in 1867. It was based on a school system the North had been using since the 1830s. The goal was for everyone to have free access to education. There was a lot of literacy issues, especially in the South. This forced southern states to educate former slaves. Eventually, the Department of Education was demoted into an office inside the Department of Interior, and this education of former slaves was actually a key part to demoting this to an office. The new Department of Education was made in 1979. So on March 20th, 2025 is when Trump signed his new executive order about the Department of Education. We're going to go over the full executive order, but for some context, here's some test scores. You can see that since the creation of the DOE, test scores have consistently gone up. The most notable dip is because of COVID. This is the DOE's website. It shows a list of what their priorities are. To very quickly summarize, they want equal education opportunities. They want to support state level education. They want increased public involvement in education. They want to improve education based on research. They want to improve federal education programs. That's like Pell Grants, loans, work study agreements. They want to improve efficiency of education activities, and they want to hold education accountable directly to the president. All right, let's go through the executive order point by point. One of the first things he mentions is the $200 billion spent during the COVID pandemic. It's kind of funny that he's calling it a pandemic now. Just gotta throw that out there. This is a quote from the Wall Street Journal. This money was used on, quote, summer programming, tutoring, additional staff, and building upgrades, among other things, end quote. This money was necessary to help support schools to actually educate these students still, because during the COVID pandemic, obviously there were a lot of extraneous issues that we couldn't expect. This was a donation to make sure students still at least got some level of education from this. He next brings up the $60 billion spent on federal school funding. So this money is being distributed to schools that need help maintaining or upgrading their facilities. The 80 staff are necessary to help distribute funds via the grants and their loans, and also distributing money throughout the schools across the country. He then mentions an opportunity to escape the Department of Education. The DOE helps facilitate a necessary option for students. If you're able to pay for a private school, that's great, but you need to have some sort of baseline for students to actually get their education. He also refers to how the DOE is failing, but these metrics are unreasonable. COVID happened, and obviously a lot of test scores dropped because of that. He's trying to make the argument here that the DOE should be eliminated because it's not working as effectively as it should, but I think he's actually making a stronger argument that more money should be invested so that it can be more successful. He then mentions the goal of privatizing loan payments. Privatized student loans are already available to students if they want it, but federal student loans are another way to get access to money if they need to get it. Federal student loans are also generally more accessible to lower income students because they have fixed interest rates and income-driven repayment plans. Obviously, this is a crazy generalization for something so complicated as loans, but I'm just trying to give a general idea. Removing the option of federal student loans is just generally going to hurt working class people more so than wealthy people. He lastly states that the DOE's main function can and should be returned to the states. At the moment, the DOE's main function is to facilitate grant and loan payments. To be more specific, states do facilitate their own funding. Having a centralized DOE creates the opportunity to fund lower income places more than higher income places that don't really need it as much. The goal of this legislation is basically just limiting access to education for lower income families. Wealthy families aren't going to have anything to worry about from this, obviously. The Department of Education served a really important role in making sure education was equity based, but unfortunately that's being removed now.